after trial, I was convicted of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, conspiracy to commit bank fraud, and bank fraud. I was convicted of defrauding three lenders. In total, the amount of loss for those three lenders was $36,500. Unbeknownst to me, my attorney failed to request the Mandatory Victims Restitution Act hearing, which I was entitled to by law. Due to his error, I have a restitution in the amount of $2.4 million and a forfeiture order in the same amount of $2.4 million for victims that I was not charged or convicted of defrauding. I am serving a life sentence outside of the wall. When I was indicted back in 2013, I had believed in the justice system. I knew that the lenders that was on the indictment, I did not defraud. And furthermore, I knew that they had no loss. I never could imagine that the justice system would play out so unfair. And in fact, that they would allow this travesty of justice to happen to me. My life has been nearly destroyed because of these restitution and forfeiture orders. I went to prison. I served 20 months in prison, 5 months in a halfway house, 2 months on home confinement, and also 39 months in pretrial for a total of 102 months of supervision for ghost numbers. And now I'm forced to pay the rest of my life for money I never received to victims that do not exist. The definition of ghost numbers is monies that the prosecutor and the judge come up to punish people like me for going to trial. These numbers are not real. There's no victim. There's no claim. In fact, one of the victims that's on my judgment went out of business long before my indictment. Each month, I'm forced to pay restitution. To make matters worse, I recently had an appellate court hearing, and it was clear at that hearing there was no victims, and the victims that was on my judgment didn't qualify under the law. But yet, the Court of Appeals denied my request to vacate the restitution and forfeiture orders because I should have made the claim sooner. I thought that was the job of my attorneys, to see that my rights were protected, or the court to see that this travesty was going on or prevent it. Oh no, they didn't do anything for a woman, Black woman like myself. Most people think that people charged with white collar crimes are all guilty, especially African American women. People assume that we are greedy individuals that finally got what's coming to us. Unfortunately, that is not the case for the majority of the individuals that I met in this journey. I received these two judgments, the restitution and the forfeiture order, without documentation, without victims claiming a loss, without a hearing of any sort to my proximity to this money. I, like most first-time federal defendants, was inexperienced, and I relied on my attorneys to defend me. That didn't occur as I look back over my case. One thing I learned is that after the gavel hits and you have these judgments, they are nearly impossible to correct, amend, settle. I have been fighting the court since 2016 in hopes of removing these judgments of restitution and forfeiture. Up until now, I have been utterly unsuccessful. And the reason for me being utterly unsuccessful is not what the public would imagine. Yeah, you would think victims, they need their money, they should get their money. Well, that's not the case. I actually have no living victim. My orders are in place for procedural aspects of my case. I fell between the cracks. My attorneys forgot or didn't know, which I'm finding out now, that most attorneys don't even learn about restitution and the collateral consequences that people face. So now these orders are virtually impossible to challenge, and I'm paying for his error. I sit here today, a Black middle-aged woman who at the time engaged in a modest real estate development company. I had no ideas that the tables would turn against me in the court of law the way it did. I am unable to have bank accounts, which recently was just closed. I can't get life insurance. I can't buy a car. I can't buy a house. These judgments are nearly impossible to get back to living. I have, after trial, incarceration, home confinement, supervised release. Today, with this platform, I'm starting to live again. I'm saying goodbye to shame and guilt and using this platform to raise awareness for restitution reform. In the meantime, I have my own challenges. My now 11-year-old son, education. He struggles because of my absence when I was in prison. I miss those informative years. He has been in special ed and now he has transferred to general ed, but yet he's struggled and he's delayed. And now my own trauma, PTSD, because of the case, and now the overwhelming shame and guilt and just overwhelmed stress for restitution have to pay what I don't owe. So I'm part of a group called Remission Now. With the LOHM, we have filed commutation to remove these judgments, and I'm looking forward to it. In addition, we are working on legislative changes, policies, and laws. We are working with the National Association for Criminal Defense Attorneys, Reform Alliance, legislators on both sides. Who knew that this experience would bring me to this point? Who knew this experience would show me that this is bigger than me? And that's why I'm here today, to lift my voice and shed light and give hope to the many voiceless victims of restitution and forfeiture orders that have no real victims. I wish I had a magic pill. I wish that this would never happen. But I do believe that there is light at the end of the tunnel because I'm not going to rest until I find it. I want to say thank you to the LOM for this wonderful opportunity. I look forward to our legislative campaign and I look forward to Remission Now. Thanks again.